Hey there, Wargamers, Just here on Painter, and today we're going to talk about picking a faction for Battletech. I'd like to welcome you guys back to the channel. If you are new here, please alpha strike that like and subscribe button if you're a returning viewer. Thank you for tuning in to help support what I do. That said, today we're going to be diving into the rich and diverse factions of the Battletech universe. Choosing a faction to paint and play can be a big decision, so we'll explore the key considerations and how to pick one that suits your tabletop interests. So with that said, let's get started. So first off, let's introduce some of the major factions in the Battletech universe. Each faction has its own unique lore, combat style, and aesthetic. The combat style is not quite like Warhammer 40k with specific different rules for them, but the way that they might pick certain units to put on the battlefield and the way that they would play fluff-wise can be very different. So Comstar, for example, has level 2s, which would be 6 models, 6 units to a group, whereas, or a cohesive unit, which is their version of like a lance. So Inner Sphere has lance, that's 4 models to a unit, and then clanners have stars, which is 5. So the way that they bring those together is a little different, and if I recall, Comstar also with their level 2s might mix mechs and vehicles, whereas your Inner Sphere lances generally are a lance of vehicles or a lance of mechs, and then clanners are generally a star of mechs, unless I think they're clan Hell's Horses, which is a little different because they're one of the few clans that uses a lot of vehicles. So that's where you're going to get a little bit of the difference in combat style, but not so much specific rules because they don't have like a codex like Warhammer 40k does, if you're familiar with that. The aesthetics on them are going to be a little different. Mostly comes down to paint job, but some of the mechs will be a little different beyond just the paint jobs with the things they put on, the heraldry, especially with like Draconis Combine. They've got some really unique like samurai looking mechs, so you'll get some different aesthetics there, but a lot of the aesthetics in Battletech in particular come down to different paint schemes. So we'll also mention prominent stories or books where you can find a little bit more about the lore for each faction. Hopefully it'll help you track down some stuff if you're wanting to explore. And we'll also mention some common paint schemes for each faction. But remember that for each house, clan, etc. that we talk about, there's a variety of different paint schemes. We're just going to mention 1 or 2 for each one as we go. If you're interested in looking up more, make sure you check out Camo Specs. It's a good place to find some inspiration for paint schemes that are canonically correct or accurate. So with that said, let's get started with the major houses. First and foremost, we've got House of Davion, or the Federated Sons. So for lore and a prominent story, they are known for their powerful military and strategic prowess. House Davion is all about honor and duty. A great book to start with is Warrior and Guard by Michael Stackpole. I'll give you some information about House Davion. And for their paint schemes, the Federated Sons typically feature red, white, and blue color schemes with a golden sunburst emblem with their sword in it typically. And they also might commonly be depicted with olive drab that you might see online. Next up for houses, we've got House Karita, or the Draconis Combine, as you may know them. So for their lore and prominent story, this faction has a strong samurai kind of culture, focusing on discipline and martial tradition. Heir to the Dragon by Robert N. Charette is a key novel showcasing their lore, if you're interested in looking them up. For paint schemes, the Draconis Combine often uses red, gray, and black armor schemes with a stylized dragon emblem. So you've got the Draconis Combine, or House Karita. You also got Dragon's Fury, which is kind of a Dark Age subfaction of them, always with kind of like a dragon. I believe Karita's almost got like a dragon swirling, and then the Dragon's Fury, it looks like a dragon that's about to bite its tail, almost like an Ouroboros. So next up, we've got House Steiner, or the Lyran Commonwealth. For lore and prominent story, they are wealthy and industrial. They emphasize economic power and heavy mechs. You ever heard the joke about the Steiner Scout Lance with 4 Atlases, or Atlases? I don't know. That's the big, I guess it's assault mechs, but heavy mechs, because Steiner. And if you want to find out some more of lore about them, check out the Blood of Kerensky trilogy by Michael A. Stackpole for more on House Steiner. For paint schemes, you're going to see a lot of blue and white and sometimes red, and their logo is generally going to be like a fist that you're going to see in their decals. Next up, we've got House Merrick, or the Free Worlds League. Lore and prominent story. So for their diverse faction with democratic society focusing on freedom and autonomy. Free Worlds Guard by Robert N. Charette is a good read if you're looking for more information about House Merrick. Their paint schemes are generally going to be purple and silver, predominantly, often featuring an eagle emblem. It's like a purple eagle thing. It usually says like Merrick on it. I see a lot of red stripes, I think, on them too. Not as familiar with House Merrick, but when I did the God, what did I call it? The grinder box call to arms kind of last year, people painted. We had quite a few House Merricks models submitted, so that seems very common. Next up, we've got House Leal, or the Capellan Confederation. For lore and prominent story for them, they are known for their cunning and espionage. You'll hear the joke about the House Leal or Capellan's favorite sheath for their sword or their blades is your back. So you'll hear that a lot, which comes to mind with the espionage. The value of loyalty and intelligence operations. The Capellan Solution by Lauren L. Coleman highlights their story. It might be something interesting for you if you're looking for a little bit more on the Capellans. For their paint schemes, you're going to see a lot of green and red, often with a stylized Capellan Confederation crest. On the channel, you have seen John play his Death's Commandos many times. They're subgroup within the Leal faction. Their paint schemes often feature black with, I believe it's green and white accents, embodying their elite status and secretive operations. So that's kind of a subgroup, and as I'd mentioned at the beginning of the video, you're going to see a lot of different factions within the factions of the houses. These are just kind of like top surface level information that you can find. Next up, if the houses aren't for you, maybe the clans are. So let's talk about the clans. Originating from beyond the inner sphere, the clans are genetically engineered warriors with advanced technology and a strict warrior code. So here's some of the most popular clans. Starting with no particular order, but definitely the Ultramarines of the Battletech universe, Clan Wolf, or at least right now they've kind of become that. And there's nothing wrong with that. They have a really good solid paint scheme for the poster children of current era Battletech. Lore and prominent story, known for their balance of strength and strategy, they play a central role in Lethal Heritage by Michael Stackpole. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about Clan Wolf, they are also probably one of the most prominent clans in the current lore up to the current era of the Ill Clan. There's a variety of stories with that, but Hour of the Wolf is going to be the climax of those stories with Clan Wolf, Jade Falcon, and the fate of Terra, the Republic of the Sphere. Also deals a little bit with the Northwind Highlanders and Wolf's Dragoons, which we'll talk about later too. For prominent paint schemes, a very common paint scheme for them would be Beta Galaxy. It features a tan or beige color with some red highlights and accents on that, followed by gray legs with a distinctive Clan Wolf insignia on the front of the legs and usually the side of the actual torso of the mechs. Next up, again, no particular order, Clan Jade Falcon, one of the most popular as well. For lore and prominent story, fierce and aggressive, they are prominently featured in the trilogies The Way of the Clans, Blood Name, and Falcon Guard by Robert Thurston. If you want to learn a little bit more about them, that is the Jade Falcon trilogy, and I've heard it's really, really good. I own it and haven't read it, but John has told me many times that I should have read it by now, and I haven't, and that is really good. So if the Jade Falcon seems like something you're interested in, those are some books you might look into. For paint schemes, you're going to see a lot of green and yellow with the Jade Falcon emblem on there. Eric or Suge, one of my friends from CSO, has done a really good paint job for one of those. I painted up some Jade Falcons for the Ill Clan era Jade Falcons, Raptor Keshik, I believe, gray, black, and green. And I really like painting with a lot of gray, so it was really appealing to me. Though lore-wise, don't care as much about Jade Falcons, because in the current lore, Malvina Hazen was depicted as a kind of a homicidal maniac. I liked a lot of the supporting characters for Jade Falcons, in particular Stephanie Chistu, I think is her name. She was the one of the only, if not the only, major Jade Falcon character who basically told Malvina to kick rocks and wouldn't listen to her. Her story was really, really cool. But in terms of Jade Falcons proper, don't much care about them. I just painted some up, so I had some for the channel. Next up, Clan Ghost Bear, which at some point I will have some painted. I've got a whole like trinary of them set aside to paint. A slight aside here, clans have blood names that your characters in the story would earn. You're not born with a surname like people in your sphere would be. My real life last name, Hall, H-A-L-L, is a blood name in Clan Ghost Bear in the lore. And it's one of the only, if not the only, clan that also places emphasis on the arts with their warrior cast, which is fascinating to me, that they encourage them to explore some type of art craft thing, whether it's painting or making something. And then knowing that my last name is a blood name for Clan Ghost Bear, and they push for the arts, and they're kind of like a cooler clan, I guess. They're not as crazy as some of the other ones. Like, all that combined makes me feel like maybe I should have painted up Clan Ghost Bear, not just Clan Wolf. So I've got a large selection of models for those. Next up, we've got Clan Smoke Jaguar, lore and prominent story for those. They're notorious for the brutality and highlighted in I Am Jade. I have information about the Smoke Jaguars. I'm finding Lethal Heritage, Lost Destiny, and Epitaph of War are good ones that have some information about the Smoke Jaguars, as well as, I think there's one that Blaine did. Oh, that was Impetus, or of War, that one. The book that I had written down was the wrong one, so I had to edit that in a little bit. So in terms of paint schemes for the Smoke Jaguars, you're going to see a lot of gray colored stuff with a little bit of camo type things. Sometimes I think you might see the Jaguar spots, depending on which oh man, which galaxy that you're playing as. And then obviously you're going to have the Jaguar emblem with the Jaguar kind of diving through like almost like a starbursty sort of thing on the mech. So transition away from the clans, there are a variety of other ones. That's just kind of 4 that might tickle your fancy. The era of play might dictate what faction you might be interested in. So the clans, generally if you're playing in the eras of 30s, 50s onward, clans are good to go. Inner Sphere, pretty much everything's good to go. But if you're playing clans or Inner Sphere, pretty well contained or self-contained in that you can play just about anywhere. But some factions don't exist until a certain time, so those things you might find appealing might not fit in with what other people are playing thematically if you're wanting to go that route. So in terms of some considerations that might go into what you play, the era that your group might be playing in might impact what you pick. If that is the case, the era play can impact your faction choice. Different eras highlight different factions and historical context. So, for example, a faction you might be interested in, depending on the era of play, the Star League Defense Force. They are played during the Star League era. Their lore and prominent stories, known for unifying the Inner Sphere. Their stories explored in the Star League source book. Couldn't find a lot of information on books for some of these, so source books are where you're going to have to look. You might be able to find PDFs on DriveThruRPG or the Catalyst website. Paint scheme, generally going to see some type of olive drab with the SLDF emblem. On my Instagram right now, I've been painting up a preview model of the Awesome off the front of the 40th anniversary Battletech Again Roman Combat box, and that's showcasing an SLDF paint scheme. So think modern military kind of thing, or World War II era Sherman tank, olive drab, white emblem. There you go. Same kind of concept for the Star League Defense Force. Lore-wise, the SLDF ended up forming the clans. In the story, there's an exodus. They leave the Inner Sphere. When they come back, they have formed as the clans, and their warrior culture is really culminated into something very different than what they were at the onset. So there is a little bit of a link there, and you're going to see a lot of people are very interested in SLDF and interested in clans because there might be some of the old guard who were here when the SLDF predated the clans. Then when they came back as the clans, and they may be interested in it. And then you'll see a little bit of a divide there where some people are, I think it's 30-25 purists, so Succession Wars, and then you've got I think that's when the Succession Wars were, and then you have the 30-52 and onward purists who really like the clan invasion. So, but pre and post SLDF has a very prominent influence on the story. So Comstar era, early Succession Wars, and early clan invasion. Think of Space AT&T, pay your phone bills there, kiddos, type of a joke. That's Comstar. All of the communication networks and infrastructure they have for interplanetary communications and so forth, that they have their finger in it, which also means that Big Brother might be listening to your phone calls, and that's Comstar, because they know the things. So for lore and prominent story, Guardians of Technology and Information, prominently featured in the Comstar source book. Their paint scheme is generally going to be white with red accents and the Comstar emblem. So again, that might vary based on which Comstar force you're looking at, but you're going to see a lot of white, which is very common. Next up, in the Jihad era, if you want to see Comstar go crazy, you've got the Word of Blake. Their lore and prominent story, they're a splinter faction of Comstar with a fanatical zeal explored in the Jihad Final Reckoning sourcebook. Paint scheme, white and gold, often with black and red details featuring the Word of Blake emblem on them, which is a kind of a alteration of the Comstar emblem. So if you see those, they look very similar, but there's definitely a difference between Comstar and Word of Blake. And then finally, if you're playing during the Dark Age era, you've got the Republic of the Sphere. Lore and prominent story, formed to maintain peace after the Jihad when Devlin Stone conquered or put down the Word of Blake. Their story is detailed in the Republic of the Sphere sourcebook, among a plethora of other Dark Age novels. And their paint schemes typically going to be like black or gray, or some olive drab and red, featuring the Republic of the Sphere emblem. It's really going to depend on which portion of the Republic of the Sphere you're looking at. There's a huge list on camo specs depending on where you go. I forget which group it is that I painted. I know they're green and red. It was the most striking paint scheme for me that I liked for Republic of the Sphere, but I don't think that was one of their frontline troops. It was just a cool looking paint scheme that I went with. So something to look into if you're interested in playing in that era. So if you guys are at all familiar with Battletech, you're probably wondering, like, when is this guy going to talk about Mercenaries? That's now. That's another group of factions that can be interwoven into gameplay and cross the span of a lot of eras as well. So let's take a look at some of the prominent Mercenaries factions within the Battletech universe. Mercenary factions offer a unique blend of flexibility and flavor, and they can be a great choices for players who like a bit of everything. First up, and I would say would have been my number one mercenary faction until I got to canonize the paint scheme for the one that my guy has helped found in the lore, which we'll talk about that towards the end of the video here. But Wolf's Dragoons, one of my favorite ones and close to my heart. For their lore and prominent story, they're one of the most famous and powerful mercenary units. Their story is well documented in the Wolf's Dragoon sourcebook. There's also, oh god, the one with Morata Krinsky, Divided We Fall, follows him in one of the stories of Wolf Dragoons trying to unify them, which is a really good book as well. Their paint schemes are going to differ on regiments, whereas the Clanners have like their galaxies. The Wolf Dragoons have regiments. So the Alpha Regiment uses black and red, and the Beta Regiment features blue and gray. So those might be some options for you to look into. Though I may have that mixed up, because I thought Alpha was the blue and the gray. If you look on camo specs, you can get that right. Without me being able to access the internet quickly out here in the building, I can't get that correct. But two of the most common paint schemes you're going to see are black and red, and then a blue and yellow, because you've got Morgan Kell. Or not Morgan Kell, sorry. Whew, that's awful. That's Kellhounds, which I don't have on the list here. That would have been Jamie Wolf, who's got like a blue and a yellow Wolf's Dragoon mech. If you're looking for something similar in that paint scheme as well, I should have put this on here and I didn't. I can't believe I missed the Kellhounds, but we'll inject that here. Very similar paint scheme to Wolf's Dragoons. I can't tell you much about their lore because I don't remember, but they're also going to be prominently red, black like hands and legs type things, and then they're going to feature the triangle emblem on their mech that's got the little wolfhound type head in it for Kellhounds. So very, very similar paint scheme to Wolf's Dragoons. Next up, we've got the Aridon Light Horse, lore and prominent story, known for their honor and long history. They're featured in the Aridon Light Horse source book. Their paint schemes typically be green and gold, often with the horse cavalry symbol, predominantly like a green drab that you're going to see. Next up, this one's definitely got some lore that you guys can dig into. Grey Death Legion, lore and prominent story. They're famous for their pivotal role in several conflicts. Their stories are detailed in the Grey Death Legion trilogy by William H. Keith Jr., if I got that correctly, following, was it Carlisle, Grayson Carlisle, something like that. For their paint schemes, it's going to be typically gray and kind of black with a little bit of a camo pattern on that, with a skull on a flag insignia for the Grey Death Legion. Next up, we've got the Northwind Highlanders. Their lore and prominent stories are a storied unit with the Scottish heritage featured in the Northwind Highlanders sourcebook. They pre-Dark Age. They often used a green or drab color with tartan patterns on them, based on which, like I guess I don't know if it's like a house or tribe or whatever clan, what clan they were part of, I think, would dictate the tartan pattern that they were showcasing on their mech. During the Dark Age era, when they allied with the Republic of the Sphere, their paint scheme differed a little bit, and they shifted away from the standardized green to a more beige kind of tan color with green arms and legs. They may or may not have had the tartan on them, and then they would have the like Northwind Highlanders crest. So. And then finally for our Mercenaries, just to throw one in there, I got to canonize the paint scheme for the Cheetahs, and that is a Dark Age, Ill Clan era mercenary company that was founded by Justin Cloud Hall, which is me in the lore, along with, was it Jack Traver and Mia, something Mia? There's a story in Shrapnel issue 6, One Door Closes, and Blaine details the creation of the Cheetahs. My character shows up in Hour of the Wolf in one of the source books as well, but they found the Cheetahs, and I got to canonize the paint scheme. So with the Cheetahs, you're going to have like a yellow torso, you're going to have white accents, black legs, and then white bottoms of the legs, often with some kind of checker pattern if you want. And then on the front of the legs or somewhere on the mech, the mech warriors will be allowed to present some type of badge of honor that they've earned. In this case, maybe one of the blood ribbons during the fight for Terra, when these guys may have been fighting there and earned that accolade. They might be able to show that prominently on the mech. And then you've got the cheetah embossed on like a shield kind of crest with the mouth open, always facing forward. So if it was on the arm, it's facing forward. If it's on the leg, it's facing to the pilot's right or to the left if you're looking head on. And for these, I'll try and get some pictures to pop up when I do the editing, but I'm pretty excited about that one and would love to see more people showing the Cheetahs some love. So yeah, check that out. So let's discuss how to choose the right faction for you. So first and foremost, as we've gone through a list of kind of some of the factions, surface level, describing where you might find some lore and some of the paint schemes discussion. The next thing is to research. Dive into the lore of each faction, read some source books or novels, do some online research, and look at some resources to get a feel for each faction's history and culture to see if that might sway you. Camo Specs Online is a good place to look at paint schemes and see what might strike your fancy, because sometimes a paint scheme might make you more interested in the lore and vice versa. And then Sarna, really good source as well. Playtest, if possible. Try playing a few games with different factions. This will give you a practical sense of their playstyle and how they fit with your preferences. Especially if you're trying to play something that's a little bit more obscure, like Comstar with their level 2s, and they use a lot of vehicles. If you're playing Clans Hell's Horses, they use a lot of vehicles as well. If you're trying to play like Jihad, Era Word of Blake, which has a lot of different mechs that are specific to that era and don't exist outside of it, those are very different things, and getting an idea for that playstyle, if you like those unit types and how they come together, is a good thing to do before you start painting, because if you paint them and then find you don't enjoy playing with the types of models that they use, that's not good. So do some playtesting. Connect with the community, join forums, social media groups, and large or maybe a local gaming club. Discord's a good place to be too. Talking to other players can provide valuable insights and help you make a more informed decision. Battletech, much like 40K, there is no shortage of old guard who will talk your ear off about who the best mercenary faction is, who's the best Norse clan is, Inner Sphere, Surats, and all that stuff, spheroids and tube babies and all that mess. The old guard will talk your ear off, and at some point if you get them down a path, they're going to be biased because they're going to like who they like. But if you want to learn some about the lore, talk to some people that have been playing Battletech since they were kids. They will fill you in, and I promise you, they will give you some cool stuff to talk about. Just don't go hook, line, and sinker on the one faction they push on you, because they're going to be biased. Every one of them I've ever met has at least one faction that, whether they admit it or not, that's their boys. That's their baby faction, and they gotta rep them, and that's going to happen. And you're going to see that, especially if the banter starts flying between people who like stuff. You got people who love Clan Wolf, hate them. People who love Smoke Jaguars, people who hate them. People who love the clans, people who hate them. And they're going to get on that soapbox, and they're going to go back and forth, and it's very funny. So if you want to learn some about the lore, get connected to the community, find some old guard who are into Battletech, and just talk to them. Ask them what books and stories they've read. And if they find a faction they really, really like, ask them to tell you about another faction they might not like, and get them to see if they'll give you that spiel too. Because a lot of people will tell you, even if they don't like Clan Smoke Jaguar, they might know a cool story that is cool. If they don't like Clan Jade Falcon, they might still tell you the trilogy of books is really good. So try and get them to talk about some other stuff too. Next up, start small. Begin with a small force and see how you enjoy painting them. And then it's much easier to expand your collection once you've made sure you've got a choice that you like, a paint scheme that you want to continue on with. And finally, follow your passion. Ultimately, choose a faction that excites you, makes you happy, not just other people happy. If people are really dogging on Clan Wolf Beta Galaxy, but you like it, screw it, paint what you like, play what you like, and don't worry about what other people think. And whether that's the lore you like, their look, or their gameplay, your passion will keep you motivated and engaged, and get you into the hobby and ingrained to make you have fun in the hobby. Remember, this is a definitive list of all possible factions and paint schemes. There are loads of sub-factions within each house, clan, and mercenary company. For more inspiration, I highly recommend checking out Camo Specs online, as mentioned before, as well as Sarna if you're looking for some more information. It's a fantastic resource that showcases a variety of paint schemes and faction details, a great way to get inspired and find the perfect look for your miniatures. Also, some of my miniatures are showcased over there too as a CSO artist. So, in conclusion, there you have it, folks. Choosing a faction in Battletech is a personal journey that combines lore, gameplay, and personal perspectives. What factions are you thinking of choosing, and why? If you're new to approaching the hobby or approaching Battletech and you're trying to get in, what are you looking at? What's the why behind that? What faction do you think are cool? And if you're already ingrained in Battletech, let me know what your first faction is. Why'd you pick it? What's your current faction you're working on? Why'd you pick that? And tell me about your collections, why you picked what you picked, why you painted what you painted, and let me know. Maybe you got a homebrew mercenary company, or maybe you just fell in love with something as a child. Let's get the comments going down below and talk about that. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'd love to hear about your choices with factions, what line or what side of the aisle you fell on in terms of if you're a clanner, inner sphere, or pledging allegiance to a mercenary company. I'm excited to see those comments down below. But with that said, that's all I've got for you guys today. As always, keep painting your models, keep rolling your dice, and I will catch you guys next time. If you made it this far, you're probably a viewer that already hits that like button when you see a video come up. You're probably already a subscriber, and you probably jump into the comments down below to help support the channel, to help support that algorithm. But if you're looking for some other ways to help support the channel too, make sure you check the description down below. Maybe you want to pick up some paints from Monument Hobbies. That's my paint of choice. The Pro Acrylic line is chef's kiss, good stuff. Maybe you want to check out some of the offerings from Death Designs, where I work in my day job. We got plenty of 3D printed products, as well as MDF terrain, some of the stuff that I have designed myself and we play with here on the channel. And if you're looking to bolster your Battletech ranks, miniatures, and offerings, make sure you check out Bobby from Fortress Miniatures and Games. He's one of the main supporters of the channel as well, and supporting any of these companies helps support what I do and helps to ensure that I can continue to bring content to all of you. If you want to become a super supporter, I highly recommend you guys check out the Patreon. You guys give that extra little edge to help push more content out, and I really do appreciate that. And my ultimate goal on the channel is to continue to be able to not only put out the content we have now, but to get to a point where you can put out more content later, whether that be battle reports or painting tutorials or just more rambles, anything at all. I'd like to be doing more content for you. This is something that I enjoy. I like being able to cast a light into the darkness to bring a little bit of hobby positivity to all of you and make you feel good, and also enjoy playing games myself. As we do the final sign off here though, I do want to go ahead and switch on over and do the scroll of awesome to showcase all the Patreon supporters, the super supporters of the channel, to give them some recognition for helping support what I do. Thank you guys so much, and I will catch you guys next time.